Oh, okay. I am live, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. This is my first time live on I was about to say TikTok on YouTube. So bear with me a little bit. But I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you so much. And today we are talking about our bestie book club read for for March. So my name is Kane. I read lots of books. I read books. I love reading books. Me and my bestie both love to read books, so we decided to start Bestie Book Club. Um, yes, so me and my bestie decided to start Bestie Book Club, and we like to read a lot of books. So let me go to the book. Okay, so this is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. And it was our book. It was our book for our Bestie Book Club March read. And I know it's April 1st. I'm so sorry. It took me a long time to get this set up and figure out how to do it. So this is this this is why we're late. But I will be better from now on. I also have not my mirror falling. I'm doing this from my computer, but I also have Soul of the Deep, which is hi Randira. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. I don't know which book. You know what? Now I'm nervous. No, but I also have Soul of the Deep, which is the sequel for Skin of the Sea by Sea Book Club. So, so it's been I actually didn't finish this one. I'm gonna finish it in April though, but I did finish this one, so we will talk about it. So let me just set the scene. So, Skin of the Sea is a fantasy. It's in the fantasy genre, and it is set in 15th century, like Africa, right? And so, if you know anything about history, 15th century, it's right about when the Atlantic slave trade starts. So, people in like Europe and the Americas are going over to Africa and stealing people. And so that's kind of where we open up, right? And when we picked this book, I was like, oh, okay, this seems fun. Mermaids, fantasy, black mermaids. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. But it opened up very sad. So yes. I wanna go live on TikTok too. I wonder if that's gonna be hard. I'm sorry. I know I should have got this a little bit more figured out, but we're just going with it right now. Okay. Nearby devices. Okay. Sorry. Just give me a brief hold right now. A brief hold, and I'm so sorry. So as you can see, I'm not quite as set up with technology as I would like in terms of like. So I've got my phone here. I want to live stream on TikTok as well. Um, yeah. So I'm just setting that up. So sorry. But those of you in the audience, bestie, if you read some of the book, how far did you get? How did you like it so far? Put some stuff in the comments. We'll talk about it. It started off very sad. I was like, I started reading it. And so when I open the book, I read like the dedications and like sometimes the forwards if they're not like too bad. But I read that trigger warning and I was like, So I read the trigger warning and I read the description again. And I was like, what is this book about? But yeah, no, it started off real sad. overall. Yeah, so she's saying that overall she enjoyed the writing style and vivid descriptions of the characters and scenery. I would say that's probably one of my favorite things, but it was also like one of the hardest things for me to get into because I had just finished reading like a modern day romance. And so it was really hard for me to kind of like jump into the like vivid scenery. It says, feel like I could visualize what she was putting down. That's good. And I think like with fantasy stories like that, like you have to like this is the description has to be really good or else like you're not gonna be immersed in that scenery inside the novel. Okay, I'm just gonna do this now. Okay, but yeah, so I definitely enjoyed like the writing style. I did like just overall the like not the amount of conflict, but the like diversity of conflict, I guess, would be a good way to say that. Sorry. And I'll tell you what I mean once I finally get it set up. I think I'm good. I think I'm good now. I think I'm good now. Okay, it looks like we're up here, y'all. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So we are live on YouTube, we are live on TikTok, and we are talking about Bestie Book Club's Much Read, which is Skin of the Sea. So this is what we're talking about, folks. And so just kind of those of you who read it with us, giving overall thoughts of what is giving your overall thoughts about like what you thought about it, how you felt about it. Hi, Kelvin. Hi. Hi, Maggie. Thank you for joining. So we're talking about Bestie Book Club. So we were just talking about how like overall the writing style and the vivid descriptions were really, really good. Um, I I don't read a lot of fantasy, right? So it was a little bit hard for me to get into inside. Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Hi Loyalty, Anthony. Hi Emily, thank you for joining. Um, so overall, it was a little bit harder for me to get into immediately. So hi everyone, thanks for joining. It was a little bit hard for me to get into overall, right? Like just immediately, right? Because I had just finished reading a modern day romance and then this is a 15th century fantasy. And I was like, okay, well, it just took me about a week to get into, but then after I got into it, it was very, very quick. Hi, thank you for joining. Thank you for the likes. Thank you so much. Um, and so one of our other besties was like, I felt like she could visualize what she was putting down. So like the overall descriptions were really, really good. Thank you so much for the likes, Cutabelle. Yes, I did. Um, so overall, like the descriptions were really, really good and they were like really, really helpful in order to kind of like immerse yourself into the content, right? But like it is a 15th century fantasy, so it did start off really sad. 15th century, if you know anything about history, you know that's when the Atlantic slave trade started, and so that's kind of really where we jump off in the book, right? So let's see. I feel like the first two sentences of the book were like really, really, I don't know, intense. So the yeah, okay. So the first two sentences, I'm gonna read them for you, so y'all can like know what I'm put like immediately how it started. So it says, I circled the ship with the sharks, slipping between dark waves. The water is layered with cold currents, sea creatures, and a ship that slices through it with cargo holds full of stolen people. Right. So automatically, immediately sad. And I was like, I thought this was about mermaids. I mean, and it is. But immediately just starting off really, really sad. Hi, thank you for joining. So you just kind of, but I did like how it started off because like you're in the sea, you're kind of feeling the cold, and it's like, whoa, stolen people. So obviously, we're talking about slavery as like a bigger concept of conflict in the story, right? And so I know there's a lot of times where like people will write like very sensitive things like about topics in really sensitive time frames and don't do it very well. And I think this was really well done about the topic of slavery in like overall context of like this is like it's not the main conflict in the story, but it is overall kind of like it's the catalyst for a lot of the things that are happening. So hi, thank you for joining. Thank you so much. If you're watching on TikTok or YouTube, please go ahead and like this live. I would appreciate it. So overall, how like slavery is the catalyst for a lot of the conflicts that happened in the book, right? And then we also have like a lot of internal conflict with our main character, which is my favorite kind of conflict because like that's the one that makes the most sense to me. Like I just you know, when all conflict is external, I feel like feel like you're not trying hard, you know what I mean? But so I guess we're going into spoilers a little bit. So like the first well, the first chapter really, we're introduced to our main character. That's my heater. I thought I turned it off. So we're introduced to our main character, um, Simi. Her full name is Simidel, but she goes by Simi, and she's a Mami Wata, which is a mermaid. This is our main character, Simi, and so it is a main character. Hi, thank you for joining. Hi everyone, thanks for joining. So and it is a main character. So she's a main character and it's a mermaid. She's a mermaid. So she's a Mami Wata as they call it. So this is also set in like African it's set in like kind of the continent of Africa. I mean it's set in the ocean, right? It's set in the ocean because she's a mermaid. But with the context of slavery as the overall kind of catalyst and like a very large external conflict. Um it's set in like the African region of the world. Can y'all tell I'm bad at geography? But yes, it's set in kind of like Africa and in the ocean, right? So immediately, like we learn about her, and well, we learn about what she does. So as a Mami Wata, she is responsible for gathering the souls of people who pass in the ocean and giving them to, I guess, her main Orisa or goddess, and blessing their journeys back to the grand creator, right? And so that's just like some heavy stuff, like off rip. Like that's just really heavy. It's like, wow. I just thought this was gonna be like a beautiful story about mermaids, and it kind of is, but it's also a little bit more intense than that, right? Like than maybe I was thinking specifically. So there is that. Um back. Hi, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And so it was just like it was a little bit heavy, like immediately, which is also why I think it took me a couple of days to really get into it, just because it was like really heavy. I had just come off like a light modern day romance for I just come off like a light modern day romance, and now I'm like I'm just like deep in like slavery. This is Skin of the Sea. So somebody asked what the book is. It's Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. This is what we read in March. And it's like a 15th century fantasy novel. But so I'm just see up here. But so one of so we're just kind of like knee deep in like slavery and sadness and like the cold of the ocean. But and so like the we kind of are also introduced by the into the external conflict of our main character because of the seven Mami Wata that she is a part of. She is the only one who likes to transform back into her like human self, like her human body, like even if she doesn't have to, right? And so that's where she is kind of distinct from the other Mami Wata who have just like been charged with what they're supposed to do because they were created, right? So you find out, like you get hints, but you find out kind of like a little bit later, and definitely that like the Mami Wata were created by the Orisa Yamoja from people who were stolen and who had like died or had like almost died in the ocean in transport, right? So Umoja chose seven women or girls because they're fairly young. I'm pretty sure she's like a teenager, and saved them from death in the ocean by turning them into the Mami Wata. And so You kind of learn that a little bit more definitely later, but you get kind of hints that like they weren't like born Mami Watas, and they um they had like a kind of like like a tough time, right? So especially our main character, like she like in the first chapter is her like finding someone who was either tossed overboard or jumped, and gathering their soul, right? And so she's looking at this woman who's like dying, who's like dead in the ocean from the ship, and she is like really confused and was like, hey, I don't know, something about this person reminds me of something, but I don't know. And that's when you kind of realize, oh hey, like she remembers nothing of her life as a human, right? So before, like, the ocean just takes away her memory, which I think is like makes sense for the actual job of the Mami Wata. But I want to make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, Mami Wata. So it makes sense for the actual job of the Mami Wata, but it doesn't make sense for like but it also makes sense that like it adds to conflict because it's like I had a whole life and now I can't remember anything about it, anything. Um, and then I also have this conflict. Well, this issue, right, with like anything I read with like deities in some capacity, because like I just feel like they are not super communicative, right? So in the first chapter, where we're like introduced to the inner conflict of Simi. Um, we're also introduced to like, yeah, she's got questions about like why they do what they do or whatever. And so she's trying to talk to Yamoja, the Orisa. Hi, thanks for joining. So she's trying to talk to the Orisa, and the Orisa Yamoja is like, we do this because this is what we do. Like, you do this because I tell you to do this. Like, why are you not like, are you not happy with blessing the souls of those who have passed in the ocean? Basically. And so she just kind of like shuts down any like curiosity or questions. And I always hate that. And so like I think it's a really big kind of theme with deities, which makes sense because they're like, I'm a deity, I'm a god, I'm a goddess. You should just be listening, right? But I also feel like maybe if you had answered some questions, we wouldn't have gotten, we wouldn't have had the main conflict, right? And so obviously, we need the main conflict for the book. But I'm just thinking like real life stuff, like maybe y'all should just be more communicative. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, so in the first few chapters, we're kind of introduced to the main conflict, which is so the lack of communication. I don't, I don't, I don't know if it's a hilarious take, but I think it's one that we should really be talking about, right? Like, and I feel like lots of stuff too happens, like especially when the main conflict in a book is like a parent and a child. It's the lack of communication. It's like you're not telling them the why, so you get all these extra conflicts that you really didn't need to have if you had just answered the question. I don't know. I don't know. I need my Anywho's but easy. So, yeah. Anywho's but easy. So then we get kind of introduced to what the main conflict is going to be, and that is that Simi is supposed to, Simi is supposed to get the souls of people who have already died in the ocean, but she finds a boy who is alive in the ocean, right? And so she's like, what am I supposed to do? I've never encountered this before. So it's like, okay, what is she supposed to do? So she saves him. She's like, I don't think I can let this. I don't think I can let this boy die. Like she remembers when So like I don't know. She gets bits and pieces of like when she was a human. Like especially if she's outside of the water. If she's outside of the water, she'll get like memories and flashes of her past life. But when she's in the water, it erases. But so she was like, I can't just let this man die because she remembers like how scared she was when she was in the water, right? Like she remembers that fear. Um, and so, oh, thank you for the likes. was it Diving IG? Thank you for the likes. Um, so she remembers that, like, she remembers what it was like when she was in the ocean and like she was, dying. And so she's like, I'm gonna save this boy. But then so she saves him and takes him to the island of Umoja, which is where she goes to like give Umoja the souls and they can send them to the grand creator. Um, so she takes him to the island and she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna heal him and then I'm gonna just, skirt, like swim him back to his island, right? So so she's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. But then obviously they're like learning each other and like knowing each other, trying to trust each other. And he's all like, whoa, a mermaid. But he had heard stories about them before. He just didn't believe they were true. Um, and so obviously like he's like a little taken aback. He's never seen a Mami Wata. And then she's taken aback because she hasn't really been in human contact with someone. I think at this point it's been like months. I want to say it was maybe like 3 to 6 months since she had turned into a Mami Wata. Um, and so she hadn't really had any communication with humans. Um, and still she's going through this internal conflict like, why do we have to do this? Like, why can't we just like stop the ships from taking our people? Why can't we do something more instead of just bless those who have died? Why can't we save them? And so these are all the questions that like, Umoja has shut down and not let her ask and has not answered, which leads to the bigger conflict of her saving him, right? Because they're not supposed to save people. They're supposed to take those who are passed in the ocean and bless their trips to the grand creator, who is, I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. I think it's like Olodumare. That was nice. That was already opened up to it. Olodumare. Dumare? Olodumare is the grand creator. So they're supposed to bless the souls that have passed, um, um, and then bless their journeys to the grand creator, right? So because she saved this man, Umoja is like crying and in tears and is like scared, basically, like she's mad, but she's also scared because, well, because apparently when she created the Mami Wata, like the grand creator Olodumare was like not super happy about that because he was like, we're not supposed to be messing with the balance of things too much, right? So one of the reasons they can't like just stop the ships and save the people is because then they're not supposed to interfere with the like workings of man to that level, right? Like you're not supposed to decide who lives and dies. You're not supposed to really like decide the fate of people's lives, right? So they're looking at this as like, oh, this is a human matter. You like read about Colleen Hoover. I don't know who Colleen Hoover is. Is that an author? I don't know who that is. Why does that sound familiar though? I have a new message. I don't know what this means. Okay. Um, but yeah, who's Colleen Hoover? Is that an author? Do they what do they write? I don't know. Um, but so they're not supposed to decide like between the fates of like humans, right? So they're looking at this like Atlantic slave trade. It's like, oh, this is a human this is like a human thing, right? Like I don't really need to do this. I don't, like we're not supposed to be deciding fates and stuff. So they're just like, we're gonna let them figure it out, right? But some Orisas or gods or goddesses is love Cynthia. I don't know what that means. Okay. Um, but they're not really supposed to like mess with the fates, right? And so the trickster god or trickster Orisa, who is also the messenger to the grand creator Olodumare, his name is, wow, what is his name? Somebody. Mm, You know? I can't believe it left me that fast. It left me that fast. It's something with an E. That's not it. Okay. Anyways, the trickster god who is the well, I can't believe it left me. That's gonna bother me. That is gonna bother me. I'm so sorry, y'all, but that's really gonna bother me. But anyway, so basically there's a trickster god who's also the Erixa. The trickster god and the messenger to the grand creator was like searching for power, right? And so because Olodumare was like, Emoji, I don't think you should have done that. The trickster god like took it upon himself to be like to like dole out punishments, and so he like really did just like he apparently he like scratched Umoja's face like real deep scratches, right? Because he just wanted some power, and he was like, he's the messenger to the grand creator, so like Olodumare, and so he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I'm just power hungry now. And so that's basically like that's the main conflict, right? So yeah, he's the main antagonist, right? The trickster god. So the trickster god, right? And so it's really gonna make me mad that I don't remember his name. Give me a second. Ishu. Okay. I'm sorry. I had to do a quick little Googles because I was going to really make me mad and I couldn't find it in the book very fast. But Ishu is the trickster god and the messenger to the grand creator, Olodumare. And so Ishu took it upon himself to like dole out punishments to Umoja once she created the Mami Wata, which is the mermaids, our main character, Simi, Mami Wata. And so they and so like he's an issue, right? But right now the main thing is like, hey, Simi saved this boy named Cola. We found out his name is Cola, and now she's got to atone for her mistakes so that like the emoji and the Mami Wata don't die, right? Because they're like that would be their punishment. They would cease to exist. And so now Simi's on this Simi is on this grand adventure with Cola, the boy she saved, to take him back home because he knows the I forget what he's called, the Babalawo, which is like a magic mm, guy, I guess. Um, and so so they go together to go summon Olodumare because there's these two rings that they need in order to summon him. And so Cola just happens to know where the rings are, right? So they're from his village. And but so also Cola's holding on to a secret that we don't even know about, right? So like that's a little bit later. But basically they're going this grand adventure to go from Umoja to Cola's home. So they're gonna take him home, and then he in turn is going to take Simi, our main character, to the Babalawo, the magic guy, the magic man, like the magic priest. I feel like Magic Man seems like a little condescending. He was actually he's very important in their village. So I think he's like a priest that kind of is like their connection to like the Orisas and like their spiritual connection to the Orisas. So the Babalawo is like a magic priest, a religious priest, and so he's gonna help her. Hi, thanks for joining. He's gonna help her get the ring so she can ask Olodumare for forgiveness. But remember that trickster god, the trickster Orisa we were talking about, Ishu? He doesn't want that. He wants the rings for himself because the rings mean power, right? He is a power hungry trickster god. And I feel like that's the worst kind of trickster god. So he's using his like status as like messenger to Elodamir as like a way to get power, and he's still just trying to amass it. He wants the rings, so nobody can talk to Elodamir unless they go through him. So he wants to be like the main gatekeeper. But also the rings are just in general powerful, so he will just be powerful. He will be if he gets the rings, he will be his power will rival that of Elodamir's. And that's not good, especially because he's got ill intentions, right? And I think that so like that would be bad. Obviously, we all know that would be bad. But so as they're going to get to the Babalawo so they can try and get these rings, they also have to worry about Ishu, you know, on their tail, right? Because Ishu is the messenger to Elodamir. So he's always got his eyes and ears out and stuff, right? So they're on this grand journey. There's some hiccups and stuff. They're on a little tiny boat leaving the island, but then they get picked up by a big boat, which they think is, the what did they call them? Oyimbo, which basically just like the outsiders, like the I don't know how to say this. I don't want to get like, but it's the people coming from the Americas to steal the people from Africa, right? So that's the boat. And so they think they're about to get captured, right? And so they're like, well, I'm not gonna go back on that boat, so y'all just gonna have to kill me. So they ready to fight. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. But then it turns out it's a ship that like the people who were captured like revolted and got captured the ship, or they got together. I think they stole the ship actually, but basically they had all gotten freed off their own ships, and then they stole a ship, and they were going around freeing other ships, and were going to other ships and freeing the black folks that were captured. So that was really nice to see. Um, but then so like he takes them, like he gives them food and supplies on that big ship. And then they go on their way. But while they were there, two Orisas, I don't remember their names. It was very brief, but two Orisas came and they were like about to the boat because they also thought it was a Yimbo that were taking, slaves. And so, but it wasn't, it was them. But because like the people on the boat were praying to them and they were like, hey, this is us. Like one of the Orisa, one of the guys that saw Simi's necklace and knew what she was. And so she was like, yeah, y'all gonna have to go because Isha's coming. Like, I saw your thing. He probably seen it too. You got to go. And they were right because he came right after and started like shaking stuff up and gave them a little storm. That was a little scary for them because they were on a tiny boat. Um, But anyway, so then they finally get to land. They finally get to land. And they meet up with this like these creatures. They're called the Yumbos or something, and they like save Cola, and they give them supplies and stuff. Um, and basically, then there's a what happened? Oh yeah, so they're feasting and everything, sending them on their way, and then there's like all of the all of the umbos stop moving, everything goes black, and Simi, our main character, has like a vision of like death and decay on the land, and she's like, this is peculiar. And then so at the same time the yumbos are feeling that as well, and so that's when we kind of find out that Cola's secret is that he has twin siblings, younger twin siblings. um so he's got younger siblings that are twins, and they are they're actually like they are Orisas incarnate. So they're like, it's kind of like if you are into witches or anything, like the Gemini twins, where they're like the same but like in two different people. That's basically what it is. I forgot what it was called, but they were like they're basically Orisas, like incarnate. That's where they came from. So it's two souls, it's one soul and two beings, right? And so what they felt was the twins being captured because they got the rings that that Ishu wanted, and Ishu took them. Right? They don't find that out until they get to back to Cola's land, because apparently Cola is like a prince or something, right? So he's like his family is like the ruling family of his land. The twins, his twin siblings, are the ones that like have brought such prosperity to the land because of the Orisa that they are, or that's inside of them or whatever. So then once they get through that adventure, find the Babilawa, and then they realize that the twins have the rings, but Ishu has the twins. So they're on yet another adventure to Ishu's island, which is incredibly dangerous. As you know, yeah, he's a trickster god. But so like what I didn't like, what I liked and didn't like about this is that like Ishu wasn't inherently a bad guy, right? Like he was just like he was like supposed to be like a trickster and like blah blah blah, right? Like funny, like he likes to play jokes, he likes to trick, but he also, wants his respect. So like he'll trick you into doing that or whatever, whatever. And he seems like really self-centered. But like inherently he wasn't a bad guy. And then he just started like getting power hungry. And I'm like, wow, what a metaphor for real life. Because in general, I don't think people are inherently good or evil. I think like we all make decisions to do things, and sometimes the intent doesn't match the outcome, and then you kind of, you know, need to figure out what to do. But in general, I don't think people are inherently good or evil. So it was like really interesting to be like, yeah, this is the main antagonist, but basically he's just someone who like likes to play jokes, but then like now he wants some power, right? I don't know. It was really weird. And then just like to jump ahead to Soul of the Deep just a little bit. I'm only on like chapter 3, but in this book, he is not the bad guy. Like he's not going to be the main protagonist. I mean, antagonist actually. And so I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. Because I feel like if any of you have ever watched The Originals, which is a spinoff of Vampire Diaries, I always had an issue with Klaus because Klaus had only had enemies. But when other enemies that were bigger enemies to everybody, he and his enemies would become allies. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me, like as a person, because like I will never like why would I team up with my enemy just just to go back to being enemies in about a week? Like it doesn't make sense. And then it was like the cycle, which is why I didn't love actually I did love that show, but it's one of the things I didn't like about the show. And I feel like that was also in Vampire Diaries, but I only watched a few seasons of that. But that's kind of how I feel about these right now. I didn't finish this yet, so I could be wrong, but that's just the vibe I'm getting from this right now. Can y'all see these? Skin of the sea, soul of the deep. Anyways, um, but yeah, so now it's Simi, our main character, Cola, the man our main character saved from the ocean, two of Cola's friends, or yeah, two of Cola's friends um from his village. Oh my gosh. Wow, that was a real weird blank. Like how did I forget the word village? But from his village, but they're also like warrior soldiers. So it's like they're not just like la di da besties. No, they're like warriors. Um and then a soldier from Simi's village. It's a soldier from Simi's village, I believe. But Simi's just kind of learning more about herself, so she doesn't remember anything about her village. So they go on this big journey to Issues Island, and they have to overcome like animals that are trying to rip them apart. They got to overcome like the darkness of that island. Like, it's scary. Um, and then like there's like animals like wolves, and then there's like but they're like people actually. So it's like werewolves. I don't remember the word for it. But one of Cola's friends, like they smell like her or something. And so they're like, are you one of us? And that's that's a different story. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that was really all that they said about it. And then that friend died. We never saw her. She died. So I'm thinking, I wonder if she's still alive and is gonna make an appearance in this book. Oh, now I'm excited to read this again. I gotta pick it up. I gotta start it. These books are kind of thick though, too. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say this was a fast read. Um, and if you're not terribly like descriptive up here or like visual up here, it might be a little bit harder to read, like it was for me. But they're really good. I would definitely recommend them. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 of this one. I haven't read this one yet. Um, But yeah, so okay. So they do all these things, finally get to Issu's Island. Like they done lost the Yumbo. That was real, that was hard. That was hard for me. Because the Yumbo came and then they sent the Yumbo home because it was a boy and like young. And then he stowed away on the ship and then he got eaten by a big bird on Issu's Island. So that was sad for me. But anyways, we wow, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, but anyway, so they get to the island and they finally see Ishu. And guess who Ishu has disguised himself out this whole time? The soldier from Simi's island that Cola's dad sent with them. And I'm like, whoa. I actually had figured like I had an inkling a little bit before it was discovered, but it wasn't a big inkling. So I was also surprised when we discovered it. Everybody was surprised, including me. I was like, big surprise. But so like that we find out that that's Issue, and then we find the twins, and then Cola is battling Issue like he's like big, right? But Cola is like, you know what? I'm gonna fight you because I want my sister and brother back, and you don't deserve to have them. So that's all I'm saying. But I'm like, okay, cool. So Simi goes upstairs, finds the twins, and is like, hey, what's going on? Like, blah blah blah, y'all okay? Your brother's down here, blah blah blah. And then Ishu tries to trick them into giving them the rings by pretending to be Cola, by looking at like disguising himself as Cola. And I'm like, So I knew that was Ishu when he came up there the first time when he came all the way up the stairs disguised as Cola. Because I was like, first of all, Simi just got in that room. Ain't no way that Cola could come up all them stairs and be like, unless he was right behind her the whole time and come in like 2 minutes after her. That don't make no sense. And two, we've already seen this man disguise himself as somebody that y'all were supposed to trust. What makes you think he wouldn't do it again? Like that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like you're not even cognitive thinking, right? Like, anyways. So when it's, then he's all like, trying to get the rings from the kids, but the girl twin, like his sister, Cola's sister, threw her ring in the ocean, right? Threw it in the ocean, and because she was like, he can't get the ring from me if I don't have it. So she threw it in the ocean, but we don't find that out until later. And guess who has it? Guess who has the ring? It's Simi, because she made a deal with the Orisa of the underworld who's stuck at the bottom of the ocean to help her capture Isu and bind him so that they could, win, basically. And so after a big long fight, she tackles Isu, takes him to the bottom of the ocean. The Orisa of the underworld binds him. And then she goes back up and saves Cola. No, Cola's dead, right? Like she goes up there and Cola dies. And then she and the twins, because the twins, remember, are like god and goddesses. They are Orisas. So the twins save Cola, and then the Mami Wata Simi guides his spirit back into his body and heals him a little bit. But basically, she saves his life, and then she uses the rings from the twins to ask Olodumare for forgiveness. And she doesn't see Olodumare, but she's just like, she puts on the rings and then she like says the chant that Umoja had taught her. And then she said like a warmth spread through her after she asked for forgiveness, and she knew that it was done, and like that was it. And I was like, man, all that for a warm feeling, I guess. I guess I thought that was a little anticlimactic for me personally because I'm like, wow, I just went through hell and back to be here with you. Like we really just crossed an ocean, uh, up a river, across forest. Four of us died. Like three out of four of us, three out of five of us, like are no longer here. We are deceased, and all that for a warm feeling, I guess. But then at the end, we find out that one of the things that Simi had to bargain, right, in order to get the Orisa of the Underworld's help, um, she had to make a deal, and so she's spending the rest of her days at the bottom of the ocean in the dark, cold. The pressure is making her back. Well, that's going into this book. That's where we start off in this book. But basically, she's like, she made a deal with the Orisa of the Underworld to help stop Ishu, and so afterwards she is afterwards she goes back to the ocean and stays with the Orisa. She's down there, but I feel like I went through this kind of fast, but there's also like a side thing because it's not an adventure novel if there's not a side romantic plot, which I don't need, right? Like in general, I don't need a side romantic plot in an adventure. And like I know I get it. Like I get why it's there, and then I get why it makes sense because adrenaline is pumping. Y'all are like, oh, okay, this gotta be love. Like you saved my life, I saved your life. We're growing feelings together. That's trauma bonding. But actually, I don't. I just don't like it. It's not my fave. It's just not. But there is a romantic side plot in this, obviously, because Simi and Cola are getting to know each other. They're getting real cozy. They're like saving each other and they're getting vulnerable with each other. But because Simi is a Mami Wata, like they can't be together. They can't be together ever, right? Yamoja told her that before she left. She was like, try not to feel so much. That's what she said. And I was like, interesting. But basically, she was like, if you make Yamosha told Simi that if she made a decision based on her feelings for a human, she would turn into the foam of the sea. I'm guessing that means disintegrate, like she would cease to exist. Which I feel like there's a lot of like stipulations to be a Mami Wata. And I don't know, like it doesn't feel like the best thing, I guess. But anyways, so like even when she's like starting to feel these things, like she'd be like when they're like walking, Cola's very considerate of her, and she like they brush her arms and stuff, and like whenever they touch, she's like, ooh, goosebumps. And I'm like, okay, no, I get it. That's cute. But you already know you can't be with this man. You already know you can't be with this man. It hurts, like you can't even walk that far because you have fins, right? Like you can't, like when you're on land with your legs, with your human legs, you can't walk that long. So it's not like you could be in this form for a long time, right? Like you can't do it. So there's just like no way to be with this man. So it's like I get it, and I get that the most of the romantic stuff was a setup for the sequel, and I found that out kind of like and I realized that like towards the middle like of the adventure because it's like, yeah, we don't have enough time in this book for this to be a full-fledged like romantic situation. So I knew that, but I just in general don't really love a I don't really love a romantic side plot. Like I like a romantic plot. I don't like a romantic side plot because I feel like honestly I feel like it takes away from the adventure, right? Because like, oh, this is an exciting fight scene. Oh, but then there like lovey-dovey stuff happening. So it's like, I don't know. I like my stories to, I don't know. I like my adventure stories to be a little less romantic, I guess. But I do get it. But yes, so this is what we read for Bestie Book Club in March. It was so good. I would recommend this. Like, this was probably the first fantasy book I read in a really long time. Um, I'm really trying to think. Like, I really remember, I think the last fantasy book I read was like when Rick Riordan came out with the Percy Jackson, and I'm like, has it really been that long? Because I feel like I was in middle school when I read that. Do y'all remember? It's so funny because I actually just watched Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief for the first time the other day. Didn't like the movie, but I wonder if it's because I'm old now. I don't know. Have y'all seen that? Have y'all seen that movie? Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. But I would definitely recommend this. It was a really good read for March. Like I said, I'm gonna finish this in April, so I will let you know how that goes. But this is just kind of for fun. Now I guess. But yeah. But ooh, do y'all want to know what we're reading for April? Do you want to know what we're reading for April? We are reading. We are reading a thriller, right? I'm gonna read what it's about. But it's a thriller. It's by Alyssa Cole and it's called When No One Is Watching. So that is what we're reading for April. I'm really excited to get started on it. I'm probably gonna get started on it this week. Not this weekend. I've got so much to do this weekend. Oh my gosh. But I'm probably gonna get started on it this week. I'm so excited to read with y'all. And like I said, I promise I'm gonna be better about checking in like maybe weekly, talking about how far we've gotten and stuff. But I think it's gonna be good. It's only 300 pages. Only. 352 pages. So it's not that big. It's not super big. I actually just read a 300-page book last night. So I should, maybe it'll be a quick read. We'll see. But this is what we're reading for April. I'm so excited. Are you ready? I'm leaving it up so y'all can take a picture. Okay, but thanks so much for joining as we talked about Skin of the Sea. I'm so excited um, that we're all reading again. I really am. I'm so excited that we're reading. Let me know any book recs you have. Make sure you like and follow and subscribe to my YouTube so that we can all chat together for our book chats. Okay, bye.